invests in us. We are very fortunate to have her here. Today's program would not have been possible without the guidance and hard work of our staff coordinator, Mrs. Visha Shekhar. I welcome her to this program. Next, I would like to welcome the dedicated and committed faculty of our psychology department. Last but not the least, I would like to welcome all the participants of this program, including the students of our department. I hope we make the most out of this opportunity to learn more about social entrepreneurship from Rani ma'am today. Thank you.
Thank you, Faith. That was such a warm welcome and very well articulated, I must say. It's a pleasure listening to you. Thank you to all of you for inviting me on this platform and allowing me to connect with all the students of, undergraduate student and postgraduate students of psychology at the St. Teresa's College, and especially the faculty too. I must put in a disclaimer. I am not very well prepped for this, but I'm hoping I will be able to wing it. When Bindu called me, Bindu is a school friend of mine, dear school friend of mine. When she called me and, asked me to speak to all of you, I was in Goa with my feet up looking at the sunset. And, I was like, why is Bindu asking me to talk on this, on this platform? And she explained to me, and I thought it was very sweet. As always, I don't think we value ourselves enough. So in my head, I was thinking, why me? Gosh, there are so many more better people to speak, But then I said, I keep telling my kids, everyone's special in their own ways. So I guess I should practice what I preach. So I said, hey, what the heck? Let's give it a go. And so I'm here. Thank you for having me. So I'll just put up a little presentation I had done a little earlier. So we have a group called Women in Real Estate, and it's called WIRE basically. And the reason we have that is because real estate is a really tough place for women. It's very male dominated. So we started this group to try and uplift women, and we're all part of this growing group in Bangalore. And so one of the sessions where we were introducing ourselves, I put together a presentation about this and about Avaza, the social concern that we take care of elderly here. So I'll just use that to talk to you guys. I love interactive sessions, so please, interrupt me at any time. I'm very happy to be interrupted. Right. I'm going to see if I can do this. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Okay, so a little bit about myself. I am Rani Bharathan, as you know, and I'm an architect, accidental architect, as I'd like to call myself, because I think my first love was always biology, and always wanted to do marine biology and try and get into the biological side of things, but fate had me going into architecture, and in a way I'm good at it, so I don't mind it too much right now. I'm enjoying it. I started my journey in Bangalore, or in Dubai, where I did my schooling. And then I went into architecture, and I worked in a few firms in Dubai after that, which was a good learning because I learned, the way things work outside of India. And as fate would have it, I was not in a marriage filled with love. So I had 2 kids and had to find a way to take care of myself. And therefore, I started this firm called Design Line Decor in Dubai. I was all of, I think, 30 and with a child in my belly when I started it. Like they say, necessity is the mother of all inventions. So I guess that's how I started there. So that happened, and then recession hit, and I moved back to Bangalore. And I realized that I think what drives me, I have to keep being interested in what I'm doing, otherwise I get into a slump. And I realized that I love to travel, and everything I wanted to do was based on traveling. So I started a company called And All That Jazz, which basically was a retail outlet for furniture and things like that in the interior industry. And so that was a fun thing to do to help me travel all around the world, procuring for projects in India and also opening up India's designers to the possibilities of things that are outside. It was a good way to travel and shop with other people's money. That's what I like to say. Um, so I did that, and then I started my. I moved back to Bangalore in 2009 with both my kids. At which point, I think Rahul was 9. Sorry, my son is Rahul, and my daughter is Arushi. I'll keep using their names. So Rahul was 9, and Arushi was 6. So we moved back to Bangalore, the three of us, bag and baggage. And yeah, we started all that jazz, and I had my design studio as well. So that went on for a while. And I was lucky that a friend of mine, Sunita, who was my college buddy, we were on the same wavelength. I was doing a lot of architecture, I was doing a lot of traveling, but there seemed to be a lot of emptiness in what I was doing. I felt like I wasn't really giving back to the society. And I guess when you keep taking care of, the house and children, and you get into a mode where you want to take care of something, so there was always this thing that I wanted to do, and I really didn't know what it was. And then I realized once when I was talking to my parents, and my parents are in Thrissur, and they travel between Dubai and Thrissur. So I was talking to my parents one day, and I realized that they wanted something very simple done. It was, I think, we had 2 dogs, so they wanted something to do with the vet. So they were talking about how so difficult it was to get the dog into the car and get things done. And I was thinking, goodness, maybe I felt so bad that I was so far away and that I couldn't do such a simple thing for them. So I got thinking about it, and I was thinking, what should I do? And so I thought maybe I should look at something in the social, to give back socially. And I connected with a friend of mine, Sunita, on that. Is someone trying to say something? Because I can't see anything. So just let me know if you are. Okay. So other than what I do in terms of career, of course, I love what I do, architecture. If you look at this little beauty here, she's coming up in Kochi in Joe's Circle. So you guys can, go there and hang out soon. But yeah, I always count my blessings, and I always don't really look at my achievements with respect to career. I think, if you're able to have good friends, travel well, bring up, see my 4 children that I've brought up, Rahul, Arushi, and that's Rover, and that's Tasha. They all are very, very, very strong individuals. And I think, that is where I count my achievements really. So yeah, they've grown up, all 4 of them. So now I have more time. So I like to ride bikes, travel. And of course, I love to help the elderly. I've been doing it for a long time. Started off with just reading for them, spending time with them and all that. And then I decided, let me see if I can get it going in a little more organized manner. So yeah, I mean, once the other thing that actually got me to do Avaza was my daughter, Arushi. Arushi went through a little bit of a tough phase when she was in between her 12 and 15 years, and she was not in a very nice space, and she didn't know really how to get out of it. So, every mother learns as they go. Like they say, the saying says that you have 5 emotional minutes, and then you just got to go gangster. So yeah, I was like, okay, I can't sit and fret about this. So let's figure out what to tell the daughter. So I kind of went through this whole thing, and I told her, I said, look, you've gone through something which I can't understand because I haven't gone through it, and now you have gone through it, so you understand it much better than everybody else. And now you're coming out of it, so why don't you use that power to help people, other children like you, who are going through this confusion in their mind, and children going through depression, anxiety, and there's so much of it going around. So the rock star that she is, she started a little online mental health peer-to-peer help group called Project Kara, and they're still online and they're still very active. And they had quite a large reach through Instagram and things like that, and they got really big. And they won the Girl Rising Award, and that was when I saw her do that, I said, okay, it's time to walk the talk, and it's time that I also start put my money where my mouth is, and then get this social cause going that I wanted to do. And so Avaza was born. I always find that we always live in a world where the society tells us what we should do, sort of um, study, get a good job, get married, have children, and especially if you're a woman, then, you need to keep it all together. You are the backbone of the house, so you need to make sure that the husband is happy, the children are happy, and all that. And you always take a back seat to what you do. But unfortunately, I have never followed, fortunately, I think, I have never followed the norm. So I found myself in a space where I, had to figure out what I am good at, what I love to do, and then therefore reaching a place where your profession is kind of steady, your children are kind of reaching a stage where they know what they want to do, and they are taking the next step and they don't need you full time anymore. And you know what you're passionate about. So if you put all this together and you figure out what the world needs, and that is your ikigai. And I think I was quite lucky to have that spark to figure out what my ikigai is, and where I want to put this energy that I have and this extra time that I have. Because I have a lot of passions. I love to travel. I love dogs. I love helping dogs, street dogs and things like that. But none of that was really calling out to me. So I think at the right time, I would say I had this ikigai moment to figure out what I really want to do. So yeah, so Avaza was born. So it's always difficult, I think, because everybody has a good idea, and everybody's when you think of something entrepreneurial in the social world, it's usually good because we need a lot of social changes and we need a lot of social help, and everybody really needs a little bit of help in anything. Say whether it's the underprivileged, it's the destitute, it's the orphans, it's the homeless. Gosh, I can think of so many things in India because we don't. Our government doesn't really have a setup that helps different verticals of our society. So there are so many things that you can come up with, but will it work? And more importantly, how do you know what it needs and how do you go about doing it? Right? So that's a really tough question. And I think, sorry, are you saying something?
No, Rani, continue.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah, so I think the most important thing is to. I was lucky because I had an entrepreneurial background already. I already had a business of my own, and so did Sunita, my partner. She already has her own practice. She's an architect as well. So I think we knew that we needed to get into it with a little bit of a business mind, even if we know that our ultimate goal is to help. Getting into it as an NGO, and NGOs are great. If you have money, it's a great way to go about it. But if you don't have money, then you need to sort of make it run itself. So you need to figure out how you're going to do this, and also for people to take you seriously and to keep it premium like we wanted to, you have to charge a little bit. So that's why we decided to take this as a business. So how we went about it is basically we wanted to find out is there really a need, or is this need only in our head? Is it something that we feel is required but really not there? And if there is a need, then what is that need? um, what is it that you want to do for your parents? Where do you find it difficult to help ends meet? How do you find that you are compromising what you can do best for them? Things like that. So we started a survey. We made a very basic survey on simple things like groceries and doctor's visits and everything that you can think of off the top of your head, driver, things like that. So we just put together a lot of things, that, questions that we had, and we sent it out to a lot of friends. And I would say, from get go, from your time in college, in the hundred and how many ever kids are here, and how many ever otherwise, stay in touch. Networking is one of your best tools. So you'll realize that as you go, from your school to your college to your work, the number of people that you get to know and they know is the largest network that you can have, and that is your treasure house of information. So we were very lucky, both Sunita and me. We were very close to our friends and our alumni, and of course people that we met through work. So we just put the survey out there, and we came back with exceptional, results, saying that everybody thinks this is something that is required here. We also did a lot of work on to see how the government is helping the elderly, and we realized that once you stop paying your taxes, no one really cares about you. I mean, you take your pension and you go, and really there isn't much for the elderly. Of course, we have subsidized tickets and cost-effective medical care, for if you have a certain card, or if you own a certain insurance or something like that. But that's it. So we realized that there really isn't any government led initiatives for elderly that are very easily accessible for them. We also did a lot of study on how these kind of things are done abroad, and how these things are put together abroad. And there were very many countries that we saw, especially places in Netherlands and places like that, where they've created a community for the elderly. So we started studying this, and we started sort of understanding what the society requires, the elderly society requires. And we realized that um, a lot of it is mainly um, compassion and loneliness. So they a lot of the children. Uh, okay, let me rephrase that. We used to live in nuclear families, and we were taught that all the younger ones will take care of the older ones, and so on and so forth. And this stopped happening. And the elders that we have, that is basically our parents, were used to seeing that. And suddenly they've come into a world now where they are alone, want to live in their independent houses. They don't want to live in an old age home or anything. The culture still remains where you live in your independent house. Unfortunately, the infrastructure which used to be there, which is basically having a driver and a cook and someone living in, and all those things don't exist anymore. But the children no longer live with the parents, and they are mostly abroad. And now it's not just about living in another state in Kerala or in Karnataka, but it's not even going from to Bombay or Delhi, but now it's the world. So distances are so easily covered with flights and things these days, that we don't really feel the disconnect. We have video calls and all that, but literally, like, doing that little things for them is what makes their life more sort of rich. And we realized that that is what is lacking. That was one thing we realized. The other thing we realized is that in India, unfortunately, people don't take care of their parents until they fall sick. So this was really sad, because we realized that there were lots of people. I mean, we have a lot of members now. We have Pratima auntie, she's amazing. She loves to make things. She's creative with her hand. She likes making artificial flowers, and she does art and paintings and all kinds of things. But she's a little bit overweight. She finds it difficult to walk. She finds it difficult to go out on her own, and she lives alone. And so she can't even go and buy her supplies. Now we have a lot of technologically driven apps here that can help you with it, but she's not tech savvy. So she's kind of, sitting in this little cocoon, wanting to do things but not able to. Her children are too far away to do it for her. And then we also realized that we had this day and night issue. So a lot of the times for kids who live abroad, their parents sleeping and waking hours are not the same as theirs, so the connection is very less. So even if it's a question of booking a doctor's appointment, they're not able to do it because they don't wake up at that time, and then they have to wake up at 3 in the morning and make the call and things like that. So we realized that what these people need is just a sort of a secretary at hand, somebody who will help them and sort of help them get things done and not give up things because they feel guilty. A lot of them feel guilty asking for help. They maybe do it once or twice, and the third time they feel bad. They feel bad to ask their neighbors and their, relatives, because people are busy, and they feel that. So what happens is they give up a lot of things. They stop doing things because they just feel that they don't want to trouble anybody with it. So what we did is we looked at our social service as something that we need to look at as a business, as well as look at it as something that we need to change and elevate, as Faith read out that we need to elevate the elderly lifestyle. So here's what we did. We looked at the business to business, B2B connect, and we said we want to keep this premium because everybody who owns their own home, wants to live in their own home, has children living abroad, has already lived and reached a certain stage in their status in their life where they want to live that same lifestyle, or continue living in that sort of same lifestyle. There are government-led things for the underprivileged, but there is nothing for the premium, which is really sad because they really, they're the middle class. Real, they're not the very rich that can have, they're not the Tatas and Birlas that can have people waiting in their on hand and foot. But they are hardworking middle class people who've done well, send their children abroad, and unfortunately are left alone. So they do have the money to spend, but they don't know how to get this sort of service. So what we did is we spent a good amount of time connecting business to business, where we, worked with doctors, physiotherapists, yoga therapists, rehabilitation centers, diagnostics to take care of the wellness. Then we connected with people who want to work with the elderly and who we trained to take care of them, like drivers who would open the door, help them with their bags. We train them and we put them onto our roster. So we call them up whenever we want to, but otherwise they do their own work. We also got in touch with home cooks. So cooks that would cook diet specific, because a lot of them, we realized that a lot of the male members that we have who were left alone after their wives passed away didn't know even how to, boil an egg or make a cup of tea. So they would just eat anything, and then their basic vitals were not taken care of, BP, sugar issues, and things like that. So we got in touch with a lot of home cooks who wanted to do this. It's amazing how many people actually want to help this cause and would like to earn a little bit of money doing it as well. So we got in touch with them. Then, so we have what we call the wellness lifestyle vertical, and then we have the wellness vertical. So the wellness vertical is basically anything that will elevate their physical, and mental health. So we have geriatric counseling, we have, like I said, we have yoga therapy, we have physiotherapy, we have doctors who go and visit them every month. We also have the lifestyle, which is, I should just take you through the slides, it'll be much easier. Yeah, so we help them with laundry, we help them with pet care. So a lot of them like to have pets, and cats and dogs, but they're scared that they can't take them to the vet, so they give it up. So, we have things like that. We help them with very basic things like utility bills, home shopping, servicing their cars. Once in a while, we'll get a call, Rani, my phone is not switching on, or, my Netflix is not coming, or I want to watch my son's, grandson's wedding. Can you help me? So things like this, it's very basic for us and very easy for us, but for them, it's like a mountain to climb. So we have connected with a company that does all our tech support, who will go there and set things up for them. And then we've not started it yet, but we are looking at something called Pledge Back. A lot of our members are very, very interesting. They have very, very interesting backgrounds. A lot of them are IAS officers. We have the General Secretary of Karnataka. We have the Ambassador to China. Amazing stories. They're a storehouse of stories. And, they're great to talk to, so much to learn from. So we wanted to do something where they can give back, where they feel good about themselves. So it would be about giving a talk, to political science students. It could be like Pratima auntie loves to give online classes on how to make flowers. So, stuff like that. We're doing things online now, but we're hoping to have face to face things soon. So we're also trying to get them involved and also trying to get them to do things for each other. So trying to really create a little community of people. We're very new. Vaza is just 2 years old. We're on our third year. So as all services goes, you have to have a track record before people will, sort of indulge you. So we are still on that track, and I think we're going quite steady and we're doing quite okay. So I think we'll get there. But yeah, they all come with how would you run it, because there's so much to do. So what we realized in all this is that all our members, I mean, they're very appreciative of everything we do for them. But what we realized is we have a daily check-in for each of them. We call them up every day and we speak to them every day. And we realized, and we have a time, so we say, okay, 7 o'clock we'll call this person, 8 o'clock we'll call this person. And we realized that what they wait for the most is this phone call. So they just want to get on the phone and talk to somebody, and somebody who cares about them and is actually asking, auntie, what do you need done today? Or, Mr. Norona, do you want something, do you need your finances sorted out today, or do you need legal advice for something? It's just that. Or it could just be call up and talk about the weather, or sometimes I even just talk about my kids, and I said, oh, Rahul did this and Arushi did this, and and then they talk about their kids. So it's just companionship, a little bit of conversation that they miss. I think that is our biggest USP, the fact that we still keep it personal, and it's not all about technology. It's not buttons, and it's not just video and things like that. You hear a voice on the other end, and this person is going to call and check on you. So I've had times when they've called me because I'm 10 minutes late, and they've said, oh, why didn't you call today? I was waiting for your call. So I think that's our USP, and that's what we realized that we need to keep. So what we did is we basically broke Bangalore into zones. And what we did is we identified caregivers in each of these zones. And these caregivers will go and visit them every week, sit with them and talk to them. So there's a face, it's not just a call or just a voice on the phone. So caregivers, and if anything that they need, for instance, they want to go shopping, they want to go to the grocery, but they don't do it because they can't carry the bags, or because they can't figure out how to get the cab or whatever. So what this caregiver does is they go with them and just walk with them and help them do that particular thing that they could have done on their own maybe 10 years back. Also, sometimes they get very anxious because they want to go to the doctor, but they don't know the right questions to ask or which floor to go, or where to get their files or where to make the payment. So the caregiver goes with them and just makes sure that they enjoy the entire process and they don't get anxious, and they're safe and comfortable and things like that. So this is what we do, and this is how we work. B2B connects with all the companies to do everything, and caregivers to do the actual, sort of face to face or phone to phone connections. We are still learning. We've we've had a lot of challenges in the last 2 years. We started Avaza saying, "Hey, we'll just do a lifestyle thing. It's going to be great. We'll just get them groceries. We'll do their utility bills, and we'll talk to them, and we'll take them on holidays." And it was a very rosy thing when we started off. But we realized that there were two things. One was, basically, we realized that there was a lot of emotional detachment between children and parents, especially a lot of children that lived abroad. So it came to a position where we started being their emotional connect. So we had to make sure that we draw boundaries in our work. We understand what we're giving and how much we give and where we stop. We learned that. We also learned that it is very easy to keep doing things without taking money for it, but it doesn't help us get better at what we do or give them better services. So we had to really look at it and understand, how we price our packages, what can we give based on this sort of costing. And I think it kind of helped because then we got this e-wallet system in place, and this whole thing of the children being abroad and parents being here on this day and night thing, I was saying, this time difference. The e-wallet really helped because then the children would just put money in the wallet, and then while they're asleep, all these things get done here because we don't have to call them up for money and things like that. So the technology, understanding of the technology and how we can better use technology to help us. And I think this is a really important and big thing for kids today who are going to do this, to understand how technology can help you, but not to let technology take over because it's obviously doesn't have a heart and soul that we have, So that was very important to understand. And then, of course, uh, conversation and understanding and sort of communication and keeping it legal and keeping it clean was very important, which we learned. The other thing we learned um, was the psychology behind this entire thing. We really had to understand geriatric psychology. It is something that was mind blowing because we didn't even think about it when we started, and I think it's very underrated. Not too many people are doing it, and there is a huge requirement for it, from going of from a life 9 to 5 and feeding, putting bread on the table, and making sure the house is running and everything. These people suddenly get into retirement and there is no hand holding between stopping job and getting into retirement, so that a lot of them just don't know what to do. They haven't thought about it, they're not prepared for it, they haven't started hobbies, or some of them have not started. A lot of them do start getting into helping social services and things like that, but a lot of them don't. And so they just find themselves sitting in front of a TV or um, reading books, and then you suddenly realize a couple of years on that you can't do it because your brain is still very much active, and although your body physically is not able to do it, your mind is still sharp. So that is something that we really learned, and we're trying to help a lot of our sort of members figure out how to help them through this whole thing, this whole geriatric counseling thing. So we are trying to help people who are getting into retirement and then start off from there itself and make it more sort of a fulfilling thing and enjoy their retirement and enjoy their old age, and teaching them that they don't need to feel guilty to spend their money and enjoy their old age. That was a challenge. um, A lot of them feel that they need to, all these things that they've hoarded, they need to keep it for their kids and inheritance and all these kinds of things. So that was a challenge to make them understand that no, don't feel guilty, enjoy yourself. The other thing that we dealt with was very clinical. Um, we had to understand and learn things like Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's diseases, things that make give you mental challenges. We had to really understand it to help them and be patient. So you learn to become a lot more patient when they keep repeating themselves, or sometimes we get calls from our members saying, I haven't had a booster shot. There is COVID in the air, and they've forgotten, that they've had a booster shot. They don't know the status of COVID today. So, we have to learn to be patient, how to talk to them, how to get them to do things that we want them to do. Um, so so these were challenges that we learned. We're still learning. There's a lots to learn. So yeah, this is what we follow. Just consistently keep doing what you do and do it in the best way you know, and you will be successful. And if you're in your ikigai and this is what your calling is, then if you're consistent and you keep doing it and you don't give up because money is less today, or you're tired tomorrow, you don't give up and you just remain consistent, then there is always success at the end of the road. And success may not be monetary. Success may be just somebody turning around and transforming, you've transformed their life. And that's what we get when we get like people who come to us and give us these testimonials and write about us and present us in the US and the UK, and they talk about how we've made their life so enriched, how their parents are happier today, and how they don't call them anymore, they call us for anything they need. So that really makes all the difference that you're trying to make. So and I think that's success enough. So yeah, like I say, I tell my kids this all the time: don't look back, you're not going that way. So look forward, and this is what I have to tell you, kids. Whatever, it's very easy to look at your failures and say, oh, I don't think I can do it. But don't, because you're not going back there. You've learned from it and you're going ahead. So don't look back. Yeah, so that was it. Happy to chat with you guys if you have anything to ask me. Has everyone gone to sleep?
Students, you can interact now. The session is open for interaction. Thank you, Rani, for that this talk that comes straight from the heart.
Yeah. I don't know any other way. Thanks,
Yeah.
Archie.
I just wanted to ask whether, when you talk about those geriatric difficulties, the mental difficulties that are being faced, how do you address these issues like dementia and, they have depression
Yeah.
and whole run. So how do you go about addressing their individual needs?
So I think it's very, like, I believe it's very important to know what you're not good at. And I think that is something that both me and Sunita know, that we are not doctors, we are not counselors, we are not trained for it. So what we've done is we have tied up with this company here called Kites, which is a senior care company, and they have specific people to do dementia care. So what we do is we basically help them, handhold the member to interact with Kites. And so all we are doing really is helping them to talk to them. Some of them don't even know that they're going through dementia care, like, because they won't do it. Geriatric counseling, we are tied up with Parivartan here. We are tied up with Wings Within. So we sometimes have to introduce them as friends of friends or something like that. We take them, so there's a lot of mollycoddling that goes into it. And sometimes they are open to, but they, as you know, you have to be open to change. So you have to be open to counseling to benefit from it. We take it very slowly, because it's very easy for them to up and say, no, I don't want it, I've never needed it, I've done this all my life, and you know how they are. Um, so it is a bit of a challenge, but what we do is, the first interaction is usually a quiet interaction, we call it. So we get the dementia care people or the psychiatrist to talk to the member in our presence, and then we go back to the dementia care or the psychologist, and we ask them what they feel, what they think should be done, and how we should help them handhold the member. So they give us a few pointers, and they tell us, this is what we need from you, this is how we are planning to do it, so this is where you need to step in and help us. Um, so far, it's been great. There's some very amazing things with dementia, especially if you guys want to learn more about it. I'm happy to get someone from Tides to talk to you guys. There's a patch that they use. There's a lot of there's a whole questionnaire that they do. Ask questions to try and figure out how much dementia they have. What is the progressiveness of it, and things like that. So for us, literally, it's almost like dealing with a child. We just have to make our interaction with them a lot more frequent. So for instance, like, we have to call them and ask, Uncle, have you had your medicine? I'm on the phone, have your medicine now? Things like that. So for us, that is what we do from our end. We kind of make sure that we do that on a regular basis. Like, make sure that they eat, make sure that they remember that they've eaten. They don't remember. Sometimes they call us and say, we haven't eaten, and they would have already eaten. So things like that. So like I said, we've learned a lot of patience. This gray hair has come from a lot of waiting on elderly people as well. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm
Okay.
learning more. I'll tell you, Bindu, a lot more when I learn. Happy to share.
Okay. Thank you. Faculty and students, over to you. Please use this opportunity to interact.
All shy children. Yeah.
They're not shy. Come on, children.
Or they're asleep. I must have put them to sleep.
No, no, actually, your session was really interactive. I was listening to it all the time.
Thank you. Who is this? Gauri? Anaga.
I'm Anakha,
Hi,
UG
Anaga.
for psychology. Hi, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Ma'am, I had a doubt. I had a question to ask you.
Yes.
Since you're emotionally involved,
Yes.
uh, people tend to experience compassion fatigue
Oh, yeah.
after a while.
Yeah.
So how do you cope with that?
So what we've done is yeah, that's very true. You do. We realized that ahead of time, because we both had to take care of our own parents. So we knew what we were getting into, I think. So what we've done is, basically we do a three-tiered sort of a system. So we, both Sunita and me, handhold the members as soon as they come in. We make them comfortable with the system. We get there, we understand their quirks, what they like, don't like, and we kind of draw out a bio data of them, of sorts, if that's the right word. Profile. We make a profile of them, and then what we do is, we hand them over to the caregiver. So we work on different levels. When they get to a stage where they've escalated and they can't deal with something, we step in, either Sunita or I step in. But when it's a daily thing, like, it could be groceries, or it could be utility bills, or it could just be like I said, tech support or something. I want to watch Netflix, I can't see what's on TV, and things like that happen. So we let the caregivers take care of that. So it's not always, you're not always working with the member. Everybody's not always working with the member, and we restrict 5 members to every caregiver. So each caregiver only has to take care of 5 of them. And mostly in the 5, like there'll be one person who is ill or needs, constant medical care. The other thing we do is we don't take care of their medical needs on a daily basis. We make sure that we have nurses or caregivers who live with them, and they are trained to do this. So it's very important, I think, to understand that you can't do everything. You can't take care of everything. You're going to cut down your life by about 10 years if sort of start doing everything by yourself, and you won't be doing justice to them either. And then what we have is also we have a backend team which does all the running, like technology driven work. So if someone wants, I'm just making a random thing, but if someone wants 3 kgs of rice, the caregiver will inform the backend office and the backend office will do it. So it's not like you're doing everything. Everything is sort of there's a hierarchy in how you go about it. And then therefore the whole process is faster and more sort of there is more quality to it. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So I think it's most important to understand that you can't do everything yourself, and getting emotionally attached. Yeah, it's very difficult not to get emotionally attached. One thing we do is, as much as possible, we always call them by their surnames. We always treat them as somebody who is a member and not a family member. So that is something to remember. They do get sick. They do, like one of my members just had brain surgery. And as much as I wanted to go and, sort of be there and help him out, because I was missing his texts every morning, he would text me. And, he's a WhatsApp wizard. So he would send me a WhatsApp every morning, and he was the General Secretary of Karnataka. We'd send these WhatsApp messages, dear Rani, regards CN, very articulate messages. And I was missing his messages, but I had to draw the line and say, no, this is where you stop. Now it's, the caregiver who's going to be able to do good for him. And then we had to shift him to a nurse after his surgery. So it's very important to know that he's a member. He's not your family, and you do the best you can until you can. It's always difficult, when one passes away, or those kind of things do happen. But I think we find a lot of happiness in the fact that we've given them a better life until that moment, and I think it's very important to absorb that. Yeah, hope that helped. Anyone else? Questions?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Nikita.
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, during old ages, mainly the old age people like to be with the same people of their age, like so that they can talk about their, past. They like to talk about past. So, is there something like that you're arranging?
Very, very interesting question. Actually, I wanted to say this and I forgot. So there is this whole trend of old age homes and old age communities. A lot of people, even in my architecture, there are a lot of people building old age homes with swimming pools and tennis courts and golf courses and things like that. So we did a little bit of study on this, and we realized that when elderly people live only with elderly people, they grow older faster. So what happens is, you're only seeing people, and you're only talking about aches and pains and illness and being alone, and I used to do this and I used to do that and all that. But you're not seeing kids playing, you're not seeing different age groups, people going to office, children playing in the playground and things like that, because that connects your memory to a lot of things that you used to do, and it keeps you young. So we realized that it is very important for them to meet people of their age group, but it is not very good for them to constantly stay with their age group. So it is nice in pockets, like like maybe once a month which is what we wanted to do, but unfortunately with COVID we were unable to do it. So we did some sessions online. We are tied up with this company called the Silver Surfers. They basically organize little tours for elderly people, and they organize little events where they can meet up and, you know, have like a quiz night and things like that, or just something where people just have like a high tea and, you know, talk to each other and things like that. So as you know, you would have seen, know that all these old men sit together on one end of the thing, and they'll be gossiping, and all the old women will be sitting and gossiping and all that stuff. So we try and create those sort of scenarios for them once in a while, but we don't want to make it where, you know, what we're trying to do is avoid them going into these old age homes, and trying to make sure that they're independent and comfortable in their own homes, so they get to stay where they are, because there's a sense of entitlement, there's a sense of dignity, that, you know, integrity that they have living in their own homes. When they're displaced, that goes away. So yeah, as you rightly said, they do like interacting with each other, but we feel that that is best in, you know, pockets, not really all the time. And I
Thank
think
you.
Ratan Tata has started a really interesting thing where he's brought in the youngsters to, you know, interact with the elderly. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a very interesting thing that he's come up with, which we were also trying to do, having students to go and visit the elderly, to read to them, to talk to them about what is new in, you know, the technology world, what is the new music, and, you know, vice versa. They will tell them about their times and things like that. We wanted to do that, but unfortunately, everything in India is like, oh, I'm doing this. What am I getting from it? You know, whereas in the US and the UK and all, if you see, if you as a student of psychology were to go and spend time, you know, 10 hours a month with an elderly person, you would get credit for it. You will get credits for your classes, you know, which is not happening in India. Unfortunately, we are not there yet. Hopefully we get there. So yeah, let's hope we get there. Welcome.
Ma'am, I had a doubt.
Hi, Salman.
As you mentioned that they had a connection which is not between their children, and they had a break in between their children. So how was that fulfilled by your act? How was that
So
connection was
yeah,
retreated?
I think again, it's the same thing. We need to know where to draw the line. But I'll tell you this story. I got a call from this girl in Singapore who said her mother needs to go and see an eye specialist because she has some vision issues, and so she wanted to take a membership. And we said okay. And she said, these are the coordinates. This is where my mom's house is, and, you know, can you please go and meet her? And so we always do this before we take on any membership. We go meet them, make sure that they're comfortable with us, you know, and all that stuff, because we don't want to surprise them with you know, somebody taking care of them. So I went to their house, and I realized that there was no house. Like, I just went there, and it was just all trees, and I said, where's this house? So then I went and I saw this old dilapidated house filled with moss all over the house. And I went and I, you know, rang the bell, and this elderly lady came and she said, oh, you're Rani. Yes, my daughter said you would come to see me. That poor lady has been blind for, like, literally, like, I would say she had 20 to 30% vision, and her children had no clue how she was living. That's how detached they were. They just knew that they had to call their mom on Wednesday every day, you know, and it was almost like a thing. I mean, they possibly have some history, I'm sure. I mean, you know, everybody has a story behind how they behave, no judgment, but I'm saying that they were completely detached. So I think how we helped in that scenario was, we always get called when there is crisis, you know, because when you're detached, you don't really want to help elevate your parents' lives. You'll only call someone when you need something. So we usually come on crisis mode. So I think at that point it's easy for us, because they need something done, and therefore they want to trust you because they want to get it done as well. So we took her to the doctor, and we went and saw her. You know, we got her eye surgery done, and things like that. So we had to be with her constantly. And I think a lot of the time they just need someone to listen to. So your listening skills, I would say, if you can be a good listener at that point, and not try to overdo it and not try to overly try and enhance their life all of a sudden, go in there and see. Because a lot of these people, you know, have reclined themselves to believe that they're alone and that they're okay and they're fine like this. And it's very difficult for them to have someone else come in. So I think patience and listening skills are the most important things. And the minute they know that you are listening to them and you acknowledge them, then they slowly come. A lot of the times, people don't know how to ask for help, but they need it. So, when they realize they're getting it and you make them feel good about it, like it's their decision, not anybody else's decision, then they come around. So, yeah, we learned that also. That was
Don't they still feel the family touch, the emotions? Then do we tend to help them,
yeah.
but still there's a empty space for the family touch and the emotion that they crave for.
Of course, there is. Um, Again, like I said, we don't get into the psychology of it because we're not trained psychologists. So what we do is we try and put them on to counselors. So a lot of our members are on counseling at the moment. We just tell them that it's counseling to help you through your, getting through your age to aging, basically. But a lot of the times, when they start talking to counselors, and then they'll start talking about their children and what they've gone through and all that. So I think a lot of the time they just need someone to talk to. They don't need a solution. I mean, they just need a listening ear, basically. So yeah, they will still be detached from their kids. I do find though that when you take out the onus of doing everyday things from the children's perspective, when you take away that, then their relationship becomes better, because it's a simple thing like this that happened with one of our members. Is she told us, whenever I come to India, and she's in the US. So whenever I come to India, I'm here for a month, out of which 3 weeks goes in visiting people and all that. And then 1 month, that 1 week I'm with my mom. All I do is run around for her. I get her taxes done. I get her, house management done, repairs done, things like that. And I don't get any time to sit with her. So this time when she came, she told me, she said, I'm so happy that Avaza is there to take care of them, because now I don't have to run around for all this and I can sit and enjoy a meal with my mom. So I think that way we do help them spend quality time with their parents.
Thank
Yeah,
you, ma'am.
welcome.
So, dears, is there is any doubt? Bindu ma'am?
Rani, yeah, Rani, I just wanted to ask, your services are there in Cochin, in Kerala, or only in Bangalore?
We are currently in Bangalore. What we're trying to do is basically sort of dig our feet into Bangalore. So we've tried everything and know everything that we need to do. We have a lot of people asking us about Cochin. Cochin, Pune, Chennai, Hyderabad are all places that we have got people, asking us to start. What we've realized is every state is very different from the other. For instance, Bangalore is very technologically connected. I can dunzo something from here right up to the end of the other end of Bangalore. That's not the case in Cochin. Like I'll need someone to physically do it, for instance. And the outskirts of Cochin doesn't fall under Cochin, but most of the elderly people live, towards the outskirts and things like that. So what we're looking at is to tie up with people who have the same agenda and want to do the same thing and want to do it for the reasons that we do it. So hopefully we will be in Kochi soon. We are working on it. Yes.
Yes. Any more questions, children?
Ma'am,
Yeah.
How is the initial response you received from the members, and has it like changed over the past 3 years
Oh,
when you
wow.
first approached them?
Mm, so initially, I think a lot of people were skeptical about using us because we didn't have a history. The two architects doing taking care of elderly, what's happening, they didn't quite understand. So there was a lot of people who were not sure. But then we were quite lucky because Sunita's been in Bangalore all her life. I've been in Bangalore long enough, and I was working with elderly people already. So because of networking, because people knew what we were doing and also knew what kind of people we were, you know, um, there were people who were ready to put their faith in us, but they were still not 100% sure of what is happening. Today we have stories and testimonials from our members. So when people approach us today, yeah, it's definitely different. And we are more confident because we've already encountered so many scenarios and we are tied up with good businesses. So we are more confident to say, when we started off, there were times when I would take the car and go and take somebody for a doctor's visit because we just couldn't find the driver. We didn't know what was happening, and we wanted to make sure our thing was. So it was very hands-on at the beginning. But now we can make the call, get people to do things, and so yeah, there is a difference between when we started and now. But like I said, consistency is the only way to success. Just keep at it, keep believing in it, and you'll get there. Thank you, Lalita.
Thank you.
So, Rani, my last question, my last question is, your services are aimed at a certain segment of society, that is a certain income group, is it? Or do you provide services for those who can't afford it also?
So, Bindu, right now, what we're trying to do is we are targeting the middle class society, which is the society, which is the band that doesn't have any help at all. You know, like I said, the rich have resources, and the underprivileged have the government help, but the middle portion does not. So that's what we are targeting. We want to start an Avaza give back scheme. We are not rich enough to do it yet, but hopefully we'll get there. Where we can have something where we run certain workshops to help the elderly of the underprivileged, and sort of have. So we are basically looking at the homeless, underprivileged, not really underprivileged, but the homeless. That's what we are looking at helping, and hopefully we'll be able to do that. So we are trying to create, and because we are architects, we are trying to create little homes where they can come and have a meal, or they can have a bath, or get a diagnostic check, something basic like that. Because we have to put what we know and what we're good at together, and then try and see where we can do that. So we are working on that, and we are working with kites on that. They also want to do something similar. So we are looking at doing that in the near future. Hopefully it will work out.
Okay. So you have an office space, or is this online? Your
Uh, we do have an office space, but nobody really comes to the office. It's all online. Like I said, most of our members are here, but the people who pay the membership fees and the people who put money into the e-wallet are all abroad. They're all in the UK and US. So a lot of our meetings are online, like this, or WhatsApp video calls and things like that. And everything else is literally like going and meeting the members in their house or taking them where they need to go. So we don't want to have an office because our caregivers are zone wise, and we want to make sure they stay there. They don't come to the office. So that, and they're all
Yeah.
on part-time basis. They're not full-time caregivers. Um,
See, so that's a message for the students. When we were growing up, when we think of business, we think of an office space and we have to pay the rent and this. But now you can start a company without an office.
that's right.
You just have to have the correct idea and the correct, the enterprising thoughts. You can start a business sitting where you are.
Absolutely.
For me and Rani, while we were growing up, it was all about, having a shop, having a place,
Yeah.
having an office, and having staff. But all this can be done online.
That's right.
That is the advantage of your generation. So you need to have that idea and that conviction to start thinking on these lines. You don't have to start an old age home to help old people. When we were
Exactly.
growing up, we were thinking like that. You start an old age home to help. You don't have to do that. So
Absolutely
that is
right.
my learning. Yeah, that's my learning from this, and I hope the children can think in these lines.
Yeah. I think it's also
So
very important, like I said earlier, that technology should not take over. You know, we should keep it personalized, but use technology and use the advantages that technology has for
yeah,
us, and make sure that, because the reach is far and wide through technology. No human can, get there that fast. So, yeah, you guys can grow much faster than we did.
yes,
You don't have to take the car and run. Yeah.
yes. Any more questions, or we can wind up, Jisha?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I think
Yes,
we
ma'am. We
can
can
wind
wind up
up.
the session. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I would like to welcome Lilda Shankar for vote of thanks. Lilda, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes. Yes, yes. You are audible.
Good evening, all. On the behalf of the Psychology Department, St. Teresa's College, I take this opportunity to propose a vote of thanks. First, I'd like to express my gratitude to our esteemed resource person of the day, Ms. Rani Bhattan. Thank you, ma'am, for your insightful words and enlightening guidance. Your story is truly inspiring, and I'm glad you didn't follow the norms, but gave the world something as remarkable as Avaza. I hope all of us find our ikigai. I'd like to thank our head of the department, Ms. Bindu John, for making this event possible and for being a pillar of support. I also extend my gratitude to the faculty coordinator, Ms. Jisha Shekhar, and student coordinator, Faith Rachel Eben, for organizing this event and ensuring its smooth functioning. I thank all the faculty members for your unflinching support. And of course, thanks to all the students for your kind cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you, Lalita. I
Thank you,
hope I
students.
meet all of you in person soon. And thank you, Bindu.
Yeah, please do come visit the college.
I'd love to do that. I will do that soon.
Yeah, students can leave unless you want to have a personal interaction. You can leave otherwise. Yeah. So thank you, Rani. I'll call you.
Yeah. Thank you
Thank you
so
so much.
much. This is a very
Yeah.
exciting thing to do. All the best, Bindu.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye bye.